This is Faces of Death on your 31 spooky movies of Halloween. Faces of Death is a 1978 documentary that gained infamy for its alleged depiction of real-life death and carnage, directed by John Allen Schwartz under the pseudonym Conan Le Carré. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know, and I'm too busy to look it up. The film showcases a variety of disturbing and gruesome scenes, from execution to animal attacks, and all narrated by the clinically and painfully boring Dr. Francis B. Gross. B. Gross. B. Gross. Do you get it? For years, Faces of Death was passed around like forbidden fruit, whispered about in schoolyards as a shocking and traumatizing glimpse into the grim realities of death. But, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it, most of the movie footage is about as real as a cartoon anvil dropping on Wile E. Coyote, and about half is believable. So this movie used to come to town once a year on Halloween. It was treated like a holy grail of terrifying underground cinema, the kind of film that lived in legend, passed down from student to student in hushed whispers, like some kind of macabre rite of passage. "Have you seen it?" they'd ask, as if just watching it would unlock the secrets of life and death. Well, guess what? I did finally watch it. And much like my third grade crush, it has not aged well. It's not nearly as shocking or as mysterious as everyone made it out to be. In fact, it's about as traumatizing as an awkward family slideshow. To start out with, time and circumstance has not been kind to Faces of Death. What was once hailed as a harrowing collection of real-life horrors is now about as shocking as a 1970s instructional video on how to properly wash your hands. The effects, because let's be honest, that's what most of them are. They are hilariously dated. It's like watching a low-budget haunted house production where they try to pass ketchup off as blood and hope that no one notices the seams in the costumes. Half the time, you're squinting at the screen wondering, is that supposed to be real? Because it looks like it was put together by someone who just finished a community college course on DIY special effects. And the music. Let's talk about the soundtrack, which feels like it was curated by someone who Googled public domain music and clicked download for the first 10 results. Yeah, it's stupid. There was no Google back then. They probably just pirated it. You've got these scenes that are supposed to depict unspeakable horrors, mangled bodies, animal sacrifices, execution by electric chair, and yet the accompanying music sounds like it belongs in the 1950s on an educational film about home economics. It's as if the filmmakers thought, well, we need something, but let's make it totally unrelatable to the actual content. That'll really throw the audience off. Mission accomplished? Yeah, I guess. Half the time, it's hard to decide if you should feel horrified or just start ballroom dancing. Of course, no review of Faces of Death would be complete without mentioning our delightful guide through this carnival of carnage, Dr. Francis B. Gross. B. Gross! Do you get it? And by delightful, I mean it's about as exciting as watching paint dry while listening to a tax audit on tape. Dr. Gross narrates the entire film with the same level of enthusiasm you'd expect from someone reading a phone book. His tone is supposed to be clinical and detached, I suppose, but it comes off as someone who would rather be anywhere else. Every time he drones on about some fascinating way to die, you're tempted to start taking bets on whether he'll actually fall asleep mid-sentence. Before you do. And the best part? So much of this movie is faked, and I mean obviously faked. Back in the day, everyone swore up and down that it was real. Real! Real, they would insist, as if they just uncovered the lost footage from Area 51. It's kind of like the way people were first thinking about the Blair Witch Project. Oh yeah, this is real, those 3 kids are dead. But now, it's about as convincing as a toddler wearing a bedsheet for Halloween. And I'm not talking about a white bedsheet, I mean bedsheet with like Bluey printed on it. You've got cheesy special effects, you have awkward camera angles that seem conveniently timed, and even a few instances where the editing is so bad it feels like the movie is winking at you inappropriately. It's like the filmmakers couldn't even be bothered to try to make the fake scenes blend in with whatever actual footage they scraped together. Yeah, just throw in some stock footage of a monkey, slap some entrails on it, and let's call it a day. I'm thinking Arby's tonight. A dinner at Arby's probably would have been more gory than anything you see in this movie. If there's a word that sums up Faces of Death now, it's boring. There, I said it. For a film that was once spoken about in hushed tones, it's shockingly unremarkable by today's standard. What was once legendary has been reduced to a laughable montage of bad special effects, weird musical choices, and a narrator who sounds like he died in the first segment. It's not disturbing, it's not profound, and it's certainly not the earth-shattering piece of underground cinema we once thought it was. I would love to pull somebody from 1978, plop them down in front of a computer around the year 1999, and show them Rotten.com. Because if you think Faces of Death was traumatizing, brother, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is why nothing shocks us anymore. In conclusion, Faces of Death is less of a legendary forbidden film and more of a relic from a time when people thought fake monkey brains and public domain music were enough to traumatize an audience. Well, maybe back then it was, but I'd like to think we're a little bit more sophisticated and discerning today. Now it's a film you'd put on as background noise for a Halloween party, if only because no one's paying attention to it anyway. If you're looking for a documentary that will actually unsettle you, well, keep looking. As for this one, let's just say it's aged about as well as milk left in your trunk on a hot summer day. Still, as a relic at least, it's an interesting artifact to place on your list of 31 spooky movies of Halloween.